As you already know, the section from the Poole-Brumlow intersection to just south of John McCain Road is under construction. The section between John McCain and Hall Johnson Roads has been designed, and all the right-of-way has been acquired by TxDOT. However, at this time, there is no funding identified for construction. The next section to the south, from Hall Johnson Road to Brown Trail, is also designed. The right-of-way has been acquired, and all of the funding is needed to construct it is in place. That the design is for 4 lanes now, with an option that the center median, which also is wide enough to allow 2 additional lanes, can be widened at a future point. In other words, the curb on the outside of the road is at the same location as if we were building 6 lanes now. Any additional lanes will be taken out of the center so as to minimize the inconvenience to both businesses and the traffic should the need arise to add those 2 additional lanes. At this time, there are no plans to improve the section south of Brown Trail, half of which is located in the city of Hurst. I'll give you a brief update on phase 1 at this time. As we all know, this phase of the project got off to a slow start. TxDOT recognized this and has now taken steps to modify the contract to incentivize the contractor, AUI, to finish as quickly as possible. You may have noticed that AUI is now working on weekends, and they plan to extend their work hours even longer in the near future. The incentive for early completion declines daily from March 31st to June the 10th. At that time, significant penalties will accrue for each day that the contractor fails to complete this phase. So we're optimistic that this project will be completed very near the end of March. Now a bit about phase 2, the section between Hall Johnson and Brown Trail. This section of the road is funded by federal and state dollars. As I mentioned earlier, it will be constructed with 4 lanes, a wide median, and most of the intersections will be built to a 6-lane configuration because that's where most of the congestion exists. Plans for this phase are complete and have been sent to TxDOT headquarters in Austin for final review and approval. According to TxDOT, numerous studies by independent agencies have shown that medians do improve safety and significantly reduce accidents. Now let's talk about funding. TxDOT has a program called Pass-Through, whereby the local jurisdiction pays for the construction up front, then over time gets reimbursed for those construction costs up to a maximum of 80%. This is one of the options being considered to fund the reconstruction of phase 3 between John McCain and Hall Johnson Roads. For several months, city staff and TxDOT, at the request of your city council, has been working to develop terms for a possible pass-through funding option for this phase. The pass-through provisions would allow for Colleyville's reimbursements to take about 12 years based on actual vehicle counts. If we assume the worst-case scenario of a $12 million cost for construction, which is 10% more than the current estimate, the city would be reimbursed up to $9.6 million over time. And please note that if this funding option is selected under the terms laid out here, there would be no increase in property taxes to pay for it. The second funding option is called a turnback. This is a relatively new program that TxDOT introduced in which TxDOT turns back non-controlled access state highways to the cities in which they are located. The cities then assume ownership and maintenance responsibility of the roadways. The program is voluntary, and city staff has initiated informal discussions with TxDOT to determine if TxDOT would fully fund phase 3 reconstruction in exchange for the city taking over the road when reconstruction is complete. There are certainly advantages and disadvantages to the turnback program. For the first time, Colleyville would be able to control what happens on Highway 26 as long as it is consistent with sound engineering and safety guidelines. That would allow us to put in a traffic signal in a location without having to go to TxDOT and get permission to do it. But we would also assume responsibility for all operations and maintenance costs, including traffic signals, signs, pavement markings, and pavement maintenance and repair. Also, at some future date, if it is necessary to add 2 lanes, the city would have to pay for that. It is estimated that in today's dollars, the cost to add 2 lanes by reducing the width of the median is approximately $5 million for the entire section from John McCain Road to Brown Trail. That's phases 2 and 3. The estimated costs for different aspects of ownership are listed here, and I point out these are in today's dollars and do not project future inflationary costs. As to adding future lanes, the road is going to be reconstructed with 10 inches of steel reinforced concrete on top of a heavily stabilized road base, which should last in excess of 30 years before any major maintenance is required. Phase 4 would continue reconstruction of the road south from Brown Trail to the southern city limits. But this section is not currently funded or scheduled for reconstruction. As I mentioned earlier, about half the road in this section is in Colleyville and the other half is in Hurst, so the city of Hurst would need to be included as a partner and participant in any discussion about the potential for a phase 4.